Good morning, everyone. How are we doing out there? I am trying some well, not too new technology. We haven't used it for quite a while, so um, I am live. It's working. Whoop whoop. I'm gonna turn another light on real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's see if that light makes any difference. Okay, how are we doing this morning? I wanted to do jump on here and do it live. We try to be on here every Friday morning, and it is Friday morning. So we have this, how do you call it? It's like a studio. I paid for it years ago, and they actually kind of grandfathered that price in, and now they charge for new people that signed up. They charge a monthly fee. Anyways, I got my DSLR camera, and I've been doing some lives with my phone or with the computer, and the quality just wasn't there. And I thought, if I want people to join, I should put in some extra effort, to be quite honest with you. And I'm not gonna. I mean, we won't have this set up all the time, especially while traveling. We have some travel plans here coming up in the next couple months, quite a bit actually. So I'm not going to be able to bring this setup all the time, but for the time being, or whenever I can, I'm just talking to nature. I want it. Can you tag every? Okay, I want to talk about eating out because this question has come up quite a bit with our members, with our MAP members and clients. And eating out seems to be a challenge for a lot of people because it's like, how do I eat out and stay on track? A major concern, right? So I'm going to tell you what we do. This will be a short one. I'll give you like 15 minutes, I guess. So I'll tell you what we do, and then you take the information that I share with you, and then you go about it, and you make your own plan that's best for you. And that's the simplest way to do it. So where to start? Okay. I think it's important. Sorry, let me mute that. I think it's important to understand your mindset before you go to a restaurant. Now, a lot of times people don't tell anyone they want to eat healthier, right? So if you don't tell anyone, if you don't make it public or at least semi-public to the people that you're going out with, to your immediate family, you're making it more challenging for yourself. You're making it a tougher road to make that happen, to stay on track. So the first advice I would give you is to tell people, you know what, I'm trying to eat a little bit healthier. I would appreciate if we could find a better choice. I don't know if anyone would say no. I want the deepest deep fried food. I want the most unhealthy choices, so I don't agree with that. If that were to happen, you should probably find someone else to go with, right? And I'm laughing, but I'm completely serious about that. Many times we don't pay attention to our surrounding environment. And that means so much. It really does. If you're going to hang out with people that are not accepting, are not supportive, they're not going to be there to walk with you on this journey, which is likely the most challenging part of your life, to feel better, look better, burn body fat, drop weight, improve digestion, increase energy. If those people in your life aren't supporting that, and you decide to go down that road, then I feel like you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong community. Don't have the right people around you to make that happen. So now that we got that one out of the way, that's the first thing that I would recommend, is that you make sure you are telling people what you're doing. Okay. And if you're just going with immediate family, or if everyone already knows, fantastic. The next step there is to what we do is we know, like if it's local, we know what food we're going to get before we go there because we've been there before. If you haven't been there before, then you need to look at the menu online. That's what we do. And if we don't find something that we particularly particularly look enticing or appealing, then we don't go there. The thing is that we can pretty much always find something. And it's not the food choice, right? It's usually the service. I weigh my service high, customer service high on any restaurant experience because I'm spending money there. I want someone to be happy and polite when I walk in the door. And maybe I don't know if that's asking too much to some people, I'm sure, but I decide where I spend my money. And if that's going to be somewhere where there's a miserable server or the experience just isn't enjoyable, like if it's cold, if you have AC blowing on you, I don't like to be cold. Most people don't. If you have AC blowing on you directly, that's not an enjoyable experience. We went to this one restaurant and it was like literally like an echo. It was so empty in there. It's relatively newer, but it echoed, and you could hear someone like in the other table way across the end of the room. You could hear their conversation because it was so like hollow and echoey. That's not a pleasant experience. So you want to go somewhere where there's a pleasant experience. At least I do. And you may need to go to these places more than once to make that happen. Obviously, it's not going to show up on their website. But that's how I choose to. That's how I choose to spend my money when we go out. And we don't go out very often because we like to cook our own food and we like to be in control of our food choices and the ingredients and all that. But we do enjoy an experience going out once in a while. You should decide in advance how many times a week is reasonable for you to go out. And if you're eating at all mostly healthy places, that could be a bit more. If you have more money, that could be more. A lot of people say, I don't have money for our fitness program, but they go out to eat 3 times a week. It's not cheap to go out to eat these days, that's for sure. And that's okay. Go out as much as you want or as much as you can afford. I'm okay with that. If you want to buy those skip the dishes, those prepackaged meals all the time, those are quite expensive in my opinion. But if you want to do that and that's going to help you stay on track, then do that. But that, I think, deciding in advance, that's what we do. We decide how many times a month we're going to go out before the month starts, and then we stick to that. We say, hey, you want to go out with friends? Oh, no, we actually went out. Whatever, how many times this month already, or this week. Have a plan in advance. If you're in here, feel free to jump in and say hi. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer questions too. I'm in the right group, right? Oh yeah, in the right group. I see there's people popping in here, so you definitely don't have to say anything, but it's nice to know when people are in here. Oh, good morning, Tracy. Tracy's a distributor and brand partner for us in the Sylvan Red Deer area. So she just came back and picked up an order too. So if you need any Trueform products, you can message her and she'll definitely hook you up. Okay, so from there, you should know, you check the menu before you go. You should know what meal you're having. So what we do is we split an appetizer. So we choose an appetizer. So we're basically ordering a meal and a half, right? Most people order at least 2 meals, if there's 2 of them. Or you order at least 1 meal for yourself. So what we do is we order a small appetizer, and that's usually healthier. We're not really into like deep fried calamari, for example. Which is fine if you are. I'm okay with that. You have to be okay with the results or lack of results you're getting from the foods that you're eating, the actions that you're taking. So we usually grab a clean appetizer. That's number 1. Morning, Brenda. Morning, Kathy. Nice to see some people in here. Nice to see some hellos. Makes me feel like I'm not just talking to a camera. So what we do is we order an appetizer and we split the appetizer. And then from there we find an entree that most cases we've decided in advance. We have the entree come and we split it. Now that's usually more than enough food. Actually, we've been doing this for years. We've been doing this for probably close to 10 years. That sounds like a long time. Maybe that's too long. 5 years? 8 years? We've been doing this for a long time. And we have never walked away being like, that wasn't enough food. I wish we ordered more. And you know what the genius part about all that is if you want more after you're done your meal, you can order more. You don't have to go back and cook it. You don't have to buy more groceries. You say, could I get more of this? Because I'm still hungry. Good morning, Deanne. Howdy to you. So that is something that can avoid ordering too much and then feeling like you have to finish and stuff in your face. And then the other thing is it's a bit cheaper, right? And we were kind of first started doing this, I used to feel cheap. I'm like, oh, are they going to judge me for being cheap because I can't afford more food? It's these crazy thoughts go in our head. And it's the same thing with the drinks I'm going to mention here. I wonder, Deanne, did we talk about this on your coaching call? We have, I think Deanne, you may have inspired this conversation, or maybe it was Joe Dean. At any rate, we have a handful of our MAP members we're talking about traveling and staying on track, and I think that's where this idea came from. At any rate, let's carry on. So when I sit down and order, I used to think, again, cheap, or I was judged, or it was odd because everyone else was alcohol or a Coke or those sugary drinks, and diet just because there's no sugar. Did you know that there's caffeine in Coke? Does that sound funny? It's always surprising to me when I see people order Coke, or like they have a Diet Coke on their desk, or we're traveling, they're at the airport, and I'm like, people still buy those? No judgment if you do. We just live in our own bubble, and we know the detriments, and there's so many better things for your body. And I see people buying, and then Dorothy said to me the other day, yesterday, she's like, did you know there's caffeine in Coke, or Diet Coke, or maybe both? And I was like, no, because I went to this one photography course one time, and I was blown away. There was about 20 people there. Half the people had a Coke, and the other half had a coffee. And I was like, it's 8 a.m. Who's drinking a Coke? So clearly a lot of people, but she said there's caffeine in the Coke. I had no idea because I haven't picked up one in years. So that was eye-opening just to know that. At any rate, when I sit down, I order a hot lemon water in a mug. So why is the mug important? Because a lot of people don't order hot lemon water, apparently. So when you go to a restaurant and you say, can I have hot lemon water? And the waitress or the server is ready to bring you a glass of water. And they're going to bring you a glass of water because everyone else wants water, or they're bringing beer or Coke. They're bringing the tall glasses, right? So they pour the hot water in and then put the lemon in there in a glass, and it's too hot for me to hold. It's the craziest thing, right? I'm like, when I first started, I'm trying to hold the glass like this, or I put a napkin around it, trying to hold it, but it's too hot. So you have to say, can I get the hot lemon water in a coffee mug? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, I can do that for you. Crazy, right? Okay, so from there, you don't want ice water anyways. You don't want cold drinks. That's not going to help your digestion. When we were in Sri Lanka, it was the hottest I've ever been, probably more humid. You walk outside and you're sweating. And this food is incredibly spicy, the most amazing food. But they believe in more traditional type of lifestyle, like Ayurvedic type of digestion and living and health. So they know that warm liquids will help improve your digestive system. So they bring you warm or hot water with your hot spicy food while it is 1,000 degrees outside. So the first time I sat down there and they bring me a hot glass of water with a hot spicy food and sweat's pouring down my face just from being outside, I was like, how am I going to drink this hot water with this spicy food? But that was specifically for digestion purposes, and that's their way of life, of course. It's much easier for them to bring warm water than it is cold water, because it's not, ice isn't as easily as obtainable, I suppose. So, but when you're at a restaurant and you don't want to have a glass of ice water to wash down your food, that's going to impede your digestion. So that's worth mentioning. You can order alcoholic beverage. I'm not telling you shouldn't. I'm just telling you what we do, and some of these tips might help, because for years I thought I had to order something else or people would look at me funny, and I don't care now. I'm at a point in my life I can accept my actions and the choices that I make. So, for the most part. Okay. And then, so we split the appetizer. We ask for 2 plates. You got to ask for 2 plates. So we get usually get the appetizer and the drinks, they come first. And then we get we split the appetizer, we split the entree, and you got to ask for 2 plates, because even if you tell them they're splitting, often they'll bring 1 plate. And you're like, okay, we'll just sit really close together and eat off the same plate. Okay, now from there, we skip dessert. That's just our opinion. If you want to have dessert, great, have dessert. We don't have dessert eating out. It costs more. It's not healthy. In most cases, it doesn't make us feel good. The only time that we have dessert that I can think of, sometimes we have dessert. Very rare. But the only time when we have dessert is on a regular basis is when we go to the Cheesecake Factory in Redondo Beach, California. It's part of our a tradition for us to, before we leave, we go to the Cheesecake Factory, and they have the best cheesecake in the world, in my opinion. I haven't had too many others, but we have everything, and then we usually take that cheesecake and go home and split it. We have one, and we split it, and we celebrate a wonderful trip. And then there's one other tip. Protect your digestive system. So if you're going to order seafood, for example, you must have chlorella. It's highly recommended to have chlorella to help pull out those hard metals from the ocean found in fish. So if you're going to have seafood, shrimp, salmon, whatever it is, bring your chlorella with you. In most cases, we take activated charcoal before we leave. It doesn't matter what type of restaurant, even if it's clean. We don't know what type of dressing, we don't know what oils, we don't know what's deep fried. We don't know how they're preparing their food, so we take chlorella before, or activated charcoal before, to protect our digestive system. And then we always recommend activated charcoal even the evening before bed, so we double up on activated charcoal. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I know what my other tip is that you should be eating before you leave. I don't mean directly before. I mean like maybe 3 hours before your dinner meal at a restaurant. And then you should have a meal after in the evening planned. Now, let me tell you why. It's the same reason you don't go to the grocery store on an empty stomach. You want to have everything and eat it as fast as humanly possible. So you have a meal, so you have a little bit of food or something in your system, so you're not starving before you go. Then you want everything. Then you overeat and you feel horrible. And then afterwards, if you have a smaller meal and for whatever reason you think that this is not enough food, in your mind, you can say, I'm going to have a meal before bed anyways. So that could be a smoothie, it could be a yogurt bowl, whatever it is on your meal plan. That's what you can be eating later on in the evening, so you don't feel deprived or that you need a huge meal at that sitting. Oh, that's super important. And then I know that, and I know this is a stretch for a lot of people. I know, like, we went out with friends one time, and we were splitting an entree, and our friend said to her husband, "Do you want to split an entree too?" And he said, "Absolutely not. I want my own meal." So I know this is a stretch, and maybe you don't have a spouse to split it with. So maybe you go with a friend, or maybe you split it with your kids. We went out we were stopped in LA on our last trip, and we were right at the beach. We had some friends come down with his kids, and they all had their own meal. And I don't have any judgment, but they were like 12 years old, and two of them had their own meal. They picked at it. He had his own meal. He ate the whole thing. But the two of them could have easily, maybe that causes more issues. I don't know. I'm not at that place in life yet. But it's rare that you need a whole meal to yourself. And you know what? We were in a different situation with other friends, and everyone had like full plates, and nobody finished them. And I thought, that is way too much food. Like, people could have split. We could have shared appetizers, we could have shared entrees, and there would have been more than enough food if we ordered one or even 2 meals less. So I think it's worth having those conversations. And I'm not like, we have restaurant owners that are friends, and we want to support them, and we do go to them as often as possible, and we buy gift cards from their restaurants, and we give them away. So I'm not telling you to not support restaurants or go to restaurants and spend the least amount of money as possible. I'm talking about protecting your digestion, staying on track, having healthy meals, making good choices, and supporting your local establishments as well. I feel like that's important. And then the last thing I want to mention, Kathy says, thanks for that info. I'll try that. Never thought of asking for hot water and lemon. You are welcome. Thank you for the comment, Kathy. Again, it's nice to know when people are in here hanging out with me, and the comments are certainly appreciated. My last tip is mindful eating. Dorothy and I, we chew our food, we have conversations, no phones at the table. And sometimes I pull the phone to take some pictures, but in most cases we try to keep the phones away. We certainly not, I feel like that's terribly rude to sit there and text someone else. Isn't that crazy? Like you're in a room, it could be 3 or 4 people in a room and you're hanging out, but everyone is texting someone else or scrolling through social media to talk to someone else. It's such a bizarre concept to me, but I understand that's our normal. At the table, we don't pull out our phones. That's one thing, but it's the mindful eating, right? So we like to enjoy our experience. We like to have conversations. We like to chew our food. We like to eat our food slowly. So sometimes we'll go with, could be friends or family members or whatever. And not everyone's like that, which is fine. It's okay. Like everyone's different. I don't have any judgment, but a lot of people eat their food really fast. And so we're sitting there halfway done our meal and they're completely done. So, and it's not like weird or awkward. We just talk and we hang out, but I feel like having like understanding that you don't need to eat your food as fast as possible because you shouldn't be in a rush, or you probably wouldn't be at a restaurant, then that's going to be beneficial to you. It's going to be beneficial to your digestion, and you're not going to be so bloated and gassy after you eat foods that you're not really sure how it's prepared to begin with. So practicing mindful eating is super important. And along those lines of, it's important to mention that your digestion starts when food hits your mouth. So I suppose if you want to take that a step further, the digestion starts when you start to cut your food. Like when you start to, let's say you're having a chicken breast or a steak or whatever it is, or fish, you cut that piece of meat. That's part of the digestion process, is making that food smaller, right? So once you put that into your mouth, digestion has already begun. So your mouth, teeth, tongue are helping break down that food before it hits your digestive system. So those people that swallow big chunks of food or don't chew their food, they're not helping their digestive tract at all. And the other thing is that we have a digestive enzyme called amylase in our saliva. So as you're chewing your food, saliva is coating that food, breaking it down. So when it hits your digestive tract, your digestive system doesn't have to do all the work. So that's why it's important to slow down, cut your food, eat smaller pieces, chew your food. Sounds ridiculous, right? Like we have to teach people how to eat. And I don't mean to say that condescending. In most cases, we don't know. And we're always in a rush. Like when I first met Dorothy, she was a teacher and she was at school. She had like 20 minutes to eat a whole meal. So she would like shovel all her food in. So then when we were hanging out, we'd go out to eat together. She'd be done all her food and I'd be like, got the napkin in there, pull my knife and fork out, and she'd be done. So she would actually start to watch, and I'm naturally a slow eater. We used to have like arguments, or my friends, like when we were playing traveling days, my friends would give me, my teammates and such, they'd give me a hard time because I would eat so slow. So I'm naturally a slow eater, so that's easy for me. But in most cases, people just don't think about their food. They just eat it as quickly as possible because we don't have the mindset of enjoying art. It's not enjoyable, right? It's just something that we do. But your food should be enjoyable. Like Deanne put a laughy face there. Like she has a garden, like a beautiful garden. If you have a garden, I feel like there's so much power in eating your own food. Like if you plant your food, if you harvest, if you're weeding, you pick that food and you prepare it and you put it on your plate, you know the very root of how much time and effort you put into that food. And I feel like when you're eating that food, you appreciate it that much more. So if you could have a moment of gratitude, whether that's prayer, whether that's just the thought of the food that's on your dish and all the work that was put into it to get there, I feel like we would have like a conscious thought, right? I feel like we would have more appreciation and we'd slow down and practice more mindful eating. And that's what I have for you this morning. I hope that was helpful. Any questions about that, let me know. Otherwise, that's it. Those in the MAP program, most of your meal plans are up. Otherwise, they'll be up before noon today. Get your prep in as usual. Our results are amazing. Our MAP program is over like 160 pounds combined of everyone in countless inches. Inches are a bit more challenging to calculate because there's so many of them. But it's a person. That's a whole person. And I just posted results from Monica, Busy Mom at 2. She got 2 little ones, and she's lost 12 pounds. She looks fantastic. Like, a bit, I don't think she'd mind me saying this, a bit fluffy, and her body's like getting to be rock hard. She looks amazing. I put that on my personal page. You are welcome. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name. My apologies, but I appreciate you coming in here. And that's it. Thank you guys. Wow, great job ever. Yes, Dan, you're doing fantastic too. We're so proud. We're so proud of our MAP clients. You guys are blowing us away. Like each week we see these results come in and it's like Dorothy and I's eyes are like this. We're like, is this really happening? Like people are melting off the inches and the weight. It's not just that. Um, like I don't know if I should. I don't want to share that because I have to ask. I want to ask permission first. But people's confidence is increasing. They feel better looking in the mirror. They have more energy. Like I think Deanne, you said something about you have energy that you had in your 20s or something like that. But at any rate, across the board, there's so many benefits of that people are sharing with us, and it's incredible to watch. So I'm going to leave you with that. Not just watch, to be there with you and walk with you side by side, because we're probably more excited than you are when we see results come in. We're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. All right, and Jane, aside Jane jump in here, Jane has some really amazing results too. So I'll ask if we can share those results, Jane, because you are doing fantastic too. So at any rate, I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you later. Let me see if I can figure out how to turn this off now. Finish. There we go. Bye.